This is Ovid's Metamorphoses, translated into English by Alan Mandelbaum. Book 9. And Theseus, hero dear to Neptune, now asked Achelous why he groaned, and how his brow had lost a horn. The river god bound up the wreath of reeds that ringed his head to hide the wound he'd suffered. Then he said, "You've set a melancholy task for me. Who wants to tell the tale of his own defeat? But I'll recount the story step by step, and, after all, there was no stain, no shame in fighting as I fought. That battle brought much glory to me, even in my loss there's solace. I had faced so great a victor. You may have heard men speak of Oeneus' daughter, fair Deianira, sought by many suitors. I joined the crowd that hurried to the house of Oeneus. Like the rest, I hoped to win that lovely girl. As soon as we went in, I said, 'Parthenon, son, I want to be your son-in-law.' And so said Hercules, and when the rest, reluctant to compete with two like us, withdrew, he made his plea. If Deianira married him, then she would be Jove's very own daughter-in-law. As for himself, there were the famous tests that Hercules had met, the labors set by his stepmother Juno. In rebuttal, I made my case. It surely would be shameful for any god to give way to a mortal. In those days, Hercules had not as yet been made a god. And I, who stand before you, am master of a river that winds through your realm. With me, you'd have a son-in-law who was no stranger here, come from afar, but one of your own countrymen, a part of your own kingdom. And in truth I hope that I shall not be penalized because I have not earned the hatred of Queen Juno, and she, to punish me, has not imposed hard tasks. And you, Alcmena's son, now boast that you are sprung from Jove. But either he is not your father, and your claim is false, or it is true, and you were born in sin. And so, to make a father out of him, you make your mother an adulteress. Admit your tale of Jove is fiction, or confess that you were mothered by a whore. Oh, these were my words, but Hercules had long been glaring at me, and he could not curb his hot rage any longer. His brief words, "My brawn is better than my tongue, you win in speech, but I can beat you with my blows," he, frenzied, charged at me. Just now I'd been so swaggering that I could not retreat. I stripped down, throwing off my coat of green. I hold my arms out, poised, I tense my hands to grab him when and where I get the chance. He stoops to gather up some dust, a clutch he flings at me. In turn the tawny sand now yellows him. He tries, or seems to try, to grip me by the neck and then to catch my darting legs. Yes, Hercules' attack aims everywhere. But I have too much bulk, my weight foils his assault, just as a rock assailed by roaring surge stands firm intact. We disengage, then once again we clash. Each holds his ground, for neither would fall back. Foot against foot, hand against hand, we strain. Bent forward with my chest's full weight, I push my brow against his brow. So have I seen strong bulls collide in battle when they strive to win the fairest heifer as their prize. And on the valley slopes the terrified herd waits to see who'll win, who is to gain the victory and reign as king. In vain Alcaeus' grandson tried to push away my chest 3 times, but at the 4th attempt he shook me off, broke free of my arm's clutch, and struck with so much force that I spun round. I said I'd tell the truth at any cost, and then he landed on my back and clung with all his weight. I'd not enhance my fame by telling lies about the force I faced, and so you can believe me when I say I felt as crushed as if a mountain lay upon my back. And yet I found the strength to insinuate my arms. They dripped with sweat. I broke his massive hold, but he won't let my breath come back, and even as I pant, he switches to a stranglehold. He chokes my neck, and so at length my knees were pressed into the ground, face down. I bit the sand. I could not match his force. I had to call upon my crafty arts. I changed myself, becoming a long snake. I slid away. But when he saw my supple body twist and coil and menace with the savage hiss of my forked tongue, the mighty Hercules just laughed. He mocked my cleverness, my tricks. But that was cradle work for me. A babe I conquered snakes. It's true you might outdo all other dragons, but poor Achelous, how could you, just one snake, lay any claim to size if set against the monstrous hydra of Lerna? From each wound I would inflict, the hydra gains new strength. If one cut off one of its 100 heads, its neck would just sprout 2 new heads. Out from that monster branch, fresh serpents at the death of any head. It thrived upon the blows I struck, and yet I won against the hydra, and I ripped that monster open when I mastered it. What can you hope to do with shifts and tricks? You are a bogus snake, a counterfeit, with borrowed weapons, with a form that is precarious, a mask. Such was his disdain. Then his fingers, as if they were chains, pressed hard upon my throat. I felt as if a pincers had me in its grip. In anguish, I tried to free my jaws from his firm clutch. I'd lost as a river god. I'd lost as snake. All that was left to try was my 3rd shape. So I became a savage bull, and change took up the fight again. Upon my left he threw his arms around my neck, and as I ran full speed he let himself be dragged. Then finally he forced my hard horns down into the ground, and in the swirling dust he laid me low. But that was not enough, for as he clutched one horn, and it was tough, he wrenched it off. He tore it from my brow. I bear that mutilation still. The naiads filled up that horn with fruits and fragrant flowers. They made of it a sacred thing, and now abundance, gracious goddess, uses this, the cornucopia, as her motif. The river god was done. And now a nymph dressed like Diana in a tucked-up tunic, with long hair flowing over both her shoulders, came in to serve us our dessert. The fruits of autumn, the exquisite fruits that we admired in the ample horn of plenty. first light has come, and when the mountain peaks are struck by rays of sun, the young men leave. They do not wait until the stream finds peace, the calm of an untroubled course. They part before the flood has beat its full retreat, and Achelous sinks his rustic face and head, which lacks one horn, beneath the waves. Although the god had lost his handsome horn and had his forehead marred, he still was sound in every other way, and he could hide his scar with wreaths of weeds or willow boughs. But you, ferocious Nessus, who were struck with love for Deianira, lost your life. A flying arrow pierced you through the spine. In fact, while Hercules, the son of Jove, was heading back to Tiryns with his bride, he reached the rapid flow of the Avenus. The river, swollen by the winter rains, had risen. Eddies swirled impetuous, defying any who might dare to cross. As Hercules, with no fear for himself, but anxious for his bride, stood on the banks, the centaur Nessus, sturdy and adept at fording such a stream, drew near and said, "Well, Hercules, I can take care of her and get her safely to the other shore, while you, whose daring can't be matched, swim over." And Hercules entrusted to the centaur fair Deianira. She was trembling, pale, afraid of the Avenus and of Nessus. The Theban, although he was weighted down with both his quiver and his lion's skin, for he had tossed his club and curving bow onto the other shore, cried out, "It seems that I am destined to contend with streams. Then let me conquer this one too." He plunged. He did not try to find the calmest point, and spurned whatever help the current might have offered him. And now he had just reached the other shore. As he retrieves the bow that he had thrown across, he hears outcries. It is his wife, for he can recognize her voice, and he sees Nessus sneak away. He's carrying off the girl. He has betrayed his trust. And Hercules cries out, "You beast, where do you think your feet can carry you? It's you I'm talking to, you biform Nessus. Hear what I say, don't prey on what is mine, and if you've no respect for me, remember the ever-whirling wheel that chains your father, the price Ixion paid for his adulteries. In any case, however much you trust the half of you that is a speeding horse, you will not get away. I'll wound you yet, not with my feet, but with this fatal shaft." His action fit these final words. He shot an arrow, and it caught the fugitive right in the spine, and drove deep, coming out through Nessus's chest. And as the centaur wrenched the barbed tip out, blood spurted from both wounds, the front, the back, and in that blood was mixed the Hydra's venom. Hercules had dipped his arrows in that poison after he had killed the beast of Lerna. Nessus knew of this, and to himself he murmured, "I shall not die unavenged." And then he gave his tunic soaked with his envenomed blood to Deianira as a gift. He told the girl whom he had tried to carry off that his hot blood would serve to spur the love of Hercules, if it should ever wane. Much time had passed. The mighty Hercules had filled the world with word of his great deeds, and Juno's hatred now was at its peak. Just then, as Hercules was journeying back home from his Oechalian victory, he halted at Cenaeum's promontory, and there upon Jove's altar he prepared to sacrifice in gratefulness. But rumor, forever babbling, had already reached your ears, O Deianira. Rumor loves to mix the true and false. She can take off from something slight and swell it with her lies. And now to you she said that Hercules was passionately drawn to Iole, the loving wife, believing rumor story, and overcome by news of that new love, at first gives way to tears. Her misery finds its release in weeping constantly. But soon she says, "Why weep? For should she see my tears, my rival surely would be pleased, and she will be here shortly. I must find some scheme, some plan, with speed while there's still time, before the stranger has usurped my bed. Shall I complain, decry, or simply grieve in silence? Shall I stay, or should I leave for Calydon? Should I desert this house, or, if there's nothing more to do, at least defy that concubine? But if I can remember, Meleager, that I am your sister, and devise a fierce revenge, and show just what a wounded woman's wrath can do, and cut my rival's throat, what then?" These schemes were but a part of what her mind was conjuring. At last she did decide upon this plan, to send to Hercules the tunic that was soaked in Nessus's blood, so that it might revive her husband's love. And to her servant Lycas she consigned this tunic, and he hurried to Cannaeum, for there with his suasive words she said he was to take it as a gift to her dear husband, as she is not aware that what she sends can only bring her ruin and lament, so Lycas does not know just what he bears. And Hercules, in turn, is unaware that what he has received is steeped in venom, the Hydra's horrid poison. He puts on the tunic Deianira sent from home. It is the fatal tunic that he wears, as there, upon Cannaeum's marble altars, he kindles fires and offers incense prayers, and pours wine offerings to Jupiter. The fire's heat set free the venom's force, and through the limbs of Hercules it coursed. At first his famous courage checked his groans, but when the savage pain had grown too great to be endured, he overturned the altars and filled the woods of Oita with his cries. He tries to tear the tunic off his flesh, but where he tugs, the fatal garment shreds his skin, and, this is horrid to retell, sticks to his limbs, and can't be ripped away, however hard he strives, or, eating through the flesh, lays bare his massive bones and sinews. The blood of Hercules is hissing now, as does an incandescent metal bar when plunged into a pool. The greedy fire cannot be checked, as it consumes his guts, and all his body drips with blue-gray sweat. His tendons crackle scorched, his marrow melts. The deadly heat within is just too much for Hercules to stand. A suppliant, he lifts his hands up to the stars and shouts, "Come, Juno, feast upon my agony. Yes, feast, and from the height of heaven see my torment, and content your cruel heart. But if my fate can even wake some pity in my worst enemy, that is yourself, then rid me of my life. My soul is weary of suffering. I hate my life, born only to labor. Death will be a gift to me, a gift that a stepmother might well give. Is it for this that I have killed Busiris, who desecrated all the shrines of Egypt with strangers' blood? That I deprived the fierce Antaeus of his force by lifting him up from his mother earth? For this that I in Spain was unafraid of Geryon the shepherd with 3 heads, and did not fear your 3 heads too, O Cerberus. My hands, were you the hands with strength enough to bend the horns of the stout bull that Neptune sent? The hands that cleanse the stables of Algæus, Stymphalus's marsh, the woods of Mount Parthenius, the golden girdle of the Amazon? Who won it on Thermodon's shores? Who won the apples guarded by the sleepless dragon? Am I the one whom neither centaurs nor the boar that savaged Arcady could conquer? The man who made it useless for the Hydra to crow anew with every blow to show redoubled force? And when the king of Thrace, who fed his horses human flesh, had filled their bins with butchered corpses, did not I cleanse all those feeding bins and kill both him and his stout stallions? These are mine, the arms that choked the giant lion of Nemea, and mine this nape that has sustained the sky. The savage wife of Jove is weary now of setting tasks for me, though I am not too tired to perform them. But I face a strange affliction, neither force nor arms of offense or of defense offer help. The fire devours me, stealing through my lungs, it feeds on all my limbs. Meanwhile, Eurystheus, be sure, is safe and sound. And are there those who still believe the gods exist? He spoke these words, and then along the mountain slopes of towering Oeta dragged his wounded self, just as a bull will carry in his flesh the shaft that struck him, though the one who shot that barb has fled. And Hercules now moans, now roars, now tries anew to tear to shreds the tunic. And he topples trees and vents his wrath against the hillside boulders, and, with arms outstretched, implores his father's heaven. But suddenly the hero catches sight of Lycas. He is cowering, terrified. Within the hollow of a rock he hides, and Hercules, with all the rage his pain has stored, cries out, "Oh, Lycas, is it you who gave this deadly gift to me? Are you the author of my death?" Pale Lycas trembles in fear. He stammers timidly. He pleads for pardon. But while he's still stammering and trying suppliant to clasp the knees of Hercules, the hero seizes him, and whirling him around 3 and 4 times, he flings him far, a toss with greater force than any missile from a catapult, out into the Euboean. As he flies high through the air, the servant petrifies. Even as rain, they say, grows more compact when swept by icy winds and turns to snow, and those snowflakes, still soft, as they are whirled, condense and thicken into solid hail, so cast into the void by those stout arms, frozen with fear, his body drained of sap, dry Lycas is transformed into hard stone. This is the way the tale of old was told, and even now in the Euboean sea a low shoal rises up above deep eddies and keeps the traces of a human form. And just as if this rock were sentient, seamen are careful not to step on it, and Lycas is the name they've given it. But you, the far-famed son of Jove, cut down the trees that grew on towering Oetus slopes, and having heaped a pyre for yourself, you order Philoctetes, Poeas' son, to set a torch beneath. And it is he who will receive your bow, your spacious quiver, your arrows, fated shafts that are to see the Trojan kingdom for a second time. The eager flames have caught the heap of logs, and you, atop the pyre, spread the skin of the Nemean lion. There, supine, you rest your neck upon your club, recline, as if you were a banquet guest who finds himself among the brimming cups of wine, a guest whom garlands crown. Upon all sides the fire rages, roars, and rises toward the limbs of Hercules, who peacefully awaits them without fear. And now the gods are anxious and dismayed. They are afraid of what will happen to the earth's defender. And Jove, the son of Saturn, sensed their fear and spoke to them serenely. I am glad, O gods, to see just how concerned you are, and I indeed, within my deepest heart, am pleased to be the father and the lord of subjects who respond so gratefully, and I can see how, too, my progeny can count on your affection. Although he has earned this by himself through his great deeds, I, too, now feel and owe you gratitude. In any case, don't let your faithful hearts be stirred by needless fear. Just disregard those flames, for Hercules, who overcame all things, will also overcome the flames you see. He'll only feel the force of Vulcan within the part his mother gave him. His other part, the seed he owes to me, is his eternally. It cannot be consumed. It knows no death. There is no flame that can destroy it. When his earthly days are done, I'll welcome his eternal portion into the heavens. As for that decision, I trust that it will gladden all the gods. Yet, if there's anyone, yes, anyone, who's grieved to see my making Hercules a god, though that dissenter may begrudge the prize that Hercules has won, he must admit the prize is merited, and so approve my action even though it goes against his will. The gods gave their assent, and even Juno, royal wife of Jove, seemed to accept his speech in peace. Her face betrayed no grief, except for his last words. He'd singled out his wife. She felt the hurt. Meanwhile, whatever Vulcan could destroy, he did. Though Hercules' immortal part remained, he was unrecognizable, for nothing of his mother's image now was left. The traces that he kept were Jove's. Just as a serpent, when it sheds its skin, casts off old age and is resplendent in its glittering scales, and now, made new again, rejoices. So did the Tirynthian, when he had put aside his mortal limbs, attain new power in his better part, for he began to seem more large, more tall, majestic, godly, grave, and venerable. Now Jove, his father, the all-powerful, rode down to earth and wrapped him in a cloud, and in his four-horse chariot carried off his son, and set him in the sky among the bright stars. Heaven now was heavier on Atlas's shoulders. But Eurystheus's rage did not abate. He nursed his bitter hate for Hercules and all his race, harassing his offspring. And Alcmena, faced with that, and with so many other cares, was anxious. The only one with whom the queen could share these cares was Iolaus, who now was married to Achelous, son of Hercules. The will of Hercules had brought about this wedding, and Achelous, to fulfill his father's wish, had welcomed Iolaus both to his bed and to his heart. And now, with noble seed, the girl was pregnant. And the old Alcmena, just as old women will, was now recounting to Iolaus the feats of Hercules and the vicissitudes of her long life. She started out by saying, "Oh, may the gods be gracious to you, and your labor pains be shortened, when you call upon Lucina, the goddess who sustains all fearful mothers in their travail. Although when Hercules was born, oh, she made that hour harsh for me, oh, yes, harsh indeed, that Juno might be pleased. For when his hour of birth was imminent, the sun was just about to touch the 10th sign of the zodiac. My womb was heavy with Hercules, one fated for such toil. My belly was so large that you could tell that Jove himself was father of this child. By then the fierce pangs were unbearable. Even as I tell this, oh, my limbs grow chill with horror. Oh, that pain lives in my recall. For 7 nights and days I was in torment, exhausted by the pain, a suppliant. I called upon Lucina and her 3 attendant goddesses of birth travail. Oh, she came indeed, but had already schemed with cruel Juno. They were both in league against me, and Lucina meant to give my life to Saturn's daughter as a gift. Though she sat before the door upon the altar, and listening to my moans, the goddess crossed her left knee with her right, and then laced tight her fingers, locking them round her knees. So did Lucina block delivery. She also chanted spells beneath her breath, and with them too birth, which had begun, was checked. I labored mad with pain, in vain I cursed ungrateful Jove. I longed to die, my words would move the hardest stones to tears. Around me the Theban women also pleaded, prayed. They tried to give me strength to meet this test. Now one of my attendants was Galanthus, a blonde-haired girl of humble family, one quick to get her work done, dear and caring. She sensed that something strange was happening, something that Juno had devised and schemed, and as she came and went and passed the entrance, she saw the goddess seated on the altar with her laced fingers locked around her knees. Galanthus said, "Whoever you may be, congratulate my mistress. She is happy. Our give Alcmena has just given birth. The mother and her son are doing well." At that the goddess of childbirth leapt up dismayed, and her locked fingers drew apart. The knot was now undone, and I gave birth. They say that at that point Galanthus jeered. She laughed at the deluded deity, and as she laughed the savage goddess caught Galanthus by the hair and dragged her off along the ground. The girl tried to get up, but then the goddess kept her on all fours and changed Galanthus's arms into 4 feet. In her new shape Galanthus kept her old quickness. Her back still kept her color blonde. It was her form that changed, and her mouth's deceptions helped me to give birth. Galanthus, transformed, gives birth to younglings through her mouth. And still, just as before, it is our house that is her home. She is a weasel now. Such were Alcmena's words, and then she moaned, remembering her faithful serving girl. And as Alcmena grieved, this was the way her daughter-in-law spoke. What moved you so is, after all, a change of form that struck someone outside our family. But what if I should tell the stupefying tale of my own sister? Though, to speak, I must contend against the tears that choke my words. For Dryope, her mother's only child, our father had me from another wife, was famous for her beauty, unsurpassed among the women of Oichalia. After the loss of her virginity, against her will, to Delphi's deity, Andremon married her, and he was happy. But one day Dryope was visiting a lake whose sloping shoreline formed a sort of inclined beach, which is at its top crowned with myrtle shrubs. She came, not knowing what would be her fate, and, what is even more disturbing, she had come to gather garlands as offerings to the nymphs. Oh, my sister bore a welcome weight, her infant son, not yet 1 full year old. At her breast she nursed the boy with her warm milk. Not too far off there grew a water-loving lotus plant, with buds whose hue resembled Tyrian purple. Its branches promised to show berries soon, and from this lotus Dryope had plucked some blossoms to delight her infant son. I thought I'd do the same, yes, I was there, but stopped when I saw drops of blood that dripped down from the blossoms as the branches shuddered. The truth, oh, slow-witted rustics would explain, but later, much too late to help, was this. Once lewd Priapus was in hot pursuit of Lotus, and in order to escape, the nymph had changed into this plant. Her name, though not her form and features, had remained. My sister did not know of this. Afraid, she tried to hurry from that place. She prayed unto the nymphs, but now her feet were stayed like roots within the ground. She tried to shake earth's grip, but it was just her upper limbs that moved. The bark climbed slowly from below and gradually covered all her loins. When Dryope saw that, she tried to tear her hair, but leaves were all she clutched. Her head had flowered now with boughs. The boy, Amphissos, and the name that his grandfather Eurytus had given him, could feel his mother's breast grow stiff. However hard he sucked, he drew no milky fluid. I myself was there, O dearest sister, at your cruel end, but could not help you. I brought all my strength to bear. I clasped you, trying to delay the branches on their upward way. And yes, I wanted to disappear beneath that bark with you. And now Andremon and her sad father Eurytus have come to search for Dryope. It's Dryope they seek, and I showed them the lotus plant. They kiss the warm wood, prone along the ground. They clasp the roots of their dear plant. By now, dear sister, just your face remains unchanged, and tears rain down upon the leaves that sprout from your poor body. But as long as she can speak, as long as her poor lips allow her voice to pass, my sister tells her sorrow. If even sorry wretches have the right to be believed, I swear upon the gods that I did not deserve this horrid end, she said. I have no fault, yet suffer punishment. In life I injured no one. If I lie, may I be parched with drought, and lose my boughs, and be cut down by the axe and burned to ash. But take my baby from his mother's leaves, entrust him to a nurse, and see that he comes often to my tree, and takes his milk and plays beneath these branches. When he learns to speak, be sure to teach my son to greet his mother. Let him say in sadness, she is here, my mother hides within this trunk. But keep him far away from pools, and he must not pluck any flowers from trunks. And any bush he sees, he must remember this may be the body of a goddess. Now farewell, dear husband, you, my sister, and my father. If you still feel fond piety for me, protect my branches from sharp pruning hooks, my leaves from browsing sheep. I'm not allowed to lean toward you. Instead, reach up, receive my kisses for as long as I can give them, and lift my little boy up to my lips. Now I can say no more. The soft bark creeps, it twines around my white neck, hiding me. I'm sealed beneath its fold. There is no need to close my eyelids with your hands. Just let the bark, and not your act of piety, now veil my dying eyes. Oh, both life and speech were done in her in one same instant, and for long the new-made leaves and boughs of the transformed body of Dryope still kept their warmth. As Iole told this amazing story, Alcmena, she herself was weeping, dried the tears of the young girl. But soon lament was banished by a singular event. For Iolaus had appeared upon the high threshold, but now he seemed so young, the down upon his cheeks was faint indeed, one almost could have said he was a boy. His face had been restored to what it was long years ago, for Juno's daughter Hebe became the wife of Hercules when he was taken to the sky as deity, and Hercules had asked her of this gift for his dear nephew. Hebe granted it. But when she tried to swear that, after this, she would bestow such gifts on no one else, Themis, the prophetess, checked Hebe's vow. She spoke of things to come, and she foresaw that change of age would also be bestowed upon the children of Callirrhoe. O Hebe, do not vow in vain. At Thebes a civil war is raging. Capaneus shall only be defeated by the force of Jove himself, a lightning bolt. The pair of dueling brothers, Polynices and Eteocles, each at each other's hands, shall die. The prophet shall be swallowed by the earth alive. Within the world below he'll see the spirits he had once controlled, and to avenge his death his son Alcmaeon shall be at once both just and criminal, and kill his mother. Stunned by what he's done, exiled from both his reason and his home, he shall be hounded by his mother's ghost and by the Furies. King Phegeus shall offer refuge to the fugitive, who then shall wed the daughter of the king, and give to her the necklace that had bribed his mother. But gone mad again, he'll wander away, and take as second wife the daughter of Achelous. She, Callirrhoe, shall ask him for the necklace. When he seeks to take it back from his first wife, he'll meet death at Phageus' hands. Calliope shall then implore great Jove to grant at once adulthood to her sons. They are still young, so that the death of the avenger not go unavenged too long. Moved by her plea, Jove shall himself apply the powers of Hebe, who is both his stepdaughter and his daughter-in-law. Calliope's young boys shall be made men before they have reached puberty. When Themis, she who knew what was to come, had finished prophesying, many gods began to murmur and to agitate, to ask, why other? From that same gift, the change of age, Aurora complains about her husband's age. Mild Ceres about Iasion's white hairs, and Vulcan seeks the rejuvenation of his son, his Erichthonius. And Venus too wants her Anchises' life to be renewed. The future worries her. There's not one god who does not plead for some dear favorite's cause. The tumult grows a loud seditious surge, until Jove opens up his lips to urge, "Come now, show some respect. Have you gone mad? Does any one of you believe that he can undo destiny? The will of fate permitted Iolaus to regain the youth he had lived through, to change his age. And it is fate, and not ambition or their warlike skills, that will allow the sons Calliope has borne to leap at once out of their infancy, to turn adult. You too depend on fate, and, if that helps to reconcile you, so do I myself. Consider my own sons. If I could change his age, dear Iacchus would not be bent beneath the bitter burden of his years, and Rhadamanthus too would now appear as an eternal youth, as Minos would. His many years weigh hard upon him too. He cannot govern as he used to, and he's despised, defied." The words of Jove persuaded them. No god would now complain, for the exhaustion of old age was plain in Rhadamanthus, Aeacus, and Minos. Now, even Minos' name alone, when he was in his prime, could terrify great cities. But he had grown infirm with age, afraid Miletus, son of Phoebus and Dione, proud of his parentage and youthful strength, would head an insurrection take his place. Though he was sure of this, he did not dare exile the youth. But on your own, Miletus, you sailed off in a rapid ship across the waves of the Aegean. On the coast of Asia, at the mouth of the Meander, you built a city that still takes its name from you, its founder. Even as you wandered along the river's winding banks, you found Chianae, the daughter of Meander, whose course so often turns back on itself. Her body was stupendous. You knew her. The nymph gave birth to twins, Byblis and Caunus. The fate of Byblis teaches us indeed that when girls love, they should love lawfully. For Byblis loved her brother, Phoebus' grandson, but with a love that was not sisterly. In fact, the girl at first was unaware of what fire burned in her. Again she kissed her brother, twined her arms around his neck. But she could see no sin in that. She did not know that love can play the part of simple fondness. She deceived herself. But step by step her love takes its own path, and now when she prepares to see her brother, she dresses with great care. She is too eager for him to find her fair, and if another more lovely than her own self visits Caunus, Byblis is jealous. But she does not know, not even now, the nature of her throes. For though she does not plead or pray or wish for a fulfillment, hidden fires burn within. Now she begins to call him Lord. She hates those names that speak of their shared blood. She'd have him call her Byblis, not dear sister. And yet, when she's awake, she does not dare to let her obscene hopes invade her soul. But when she's sunk in peaceful sleep, again the girl can see the one she loves. And when their bodies meet, she blushes in her sleep. When sleep retreats, the girl lies still for long, and, thinking back on what she'd seen in dreams, her mind beset by doubts, begins to speak. Oh, what misery is mine! What does it mean? This vision in the silence of the night, this scene I never want to see in daylight. But why this dream? Yes, he is fair indeed. Even unfriendly eyes would grant him that. He pleases me, and I could love him if he weren't my own brother. He would be most worthy of me. To my grief, I am his sister. Yet if I, awake, do not attempt such things, oh, then let me see that dream again in sleep, the same beguiling scene. In dreams no one can see you, and delight does not seem feigned. O Venus, tender mother, with your winged Cupid at your side, what joy was mine! How true it seemed, so full, so deep, it reached my marrow. Memory is sweet, although the pleasure that I had was brief, and night too quick to leave. She must have envied what we were doing. Oh, if I could change my name, O Caunus, and your father gain so fine a daughter-in-law, even as mine would gain in you so fine a son-in-law. Oh, if the gods had only let us share all things in common, but for our parentage, I'd have you born of higher lineage. Instead, my fairest Caunus, you'll beget a son by someone else whom you will wed. For me, who had the evil fate to share your father and your mother, you will be no more than brother. All we'll have in common is what has blocked our love. But then, these scenes that I have often dreamed, what do they mean? Do dreams have any weight at all? I call upon the blessed gods to curb my love, yet it is the gods themselves who wed their sisters. Saturn married Ops, his kin by blood, and Tethys married Oceanus, and he who rules Olympus married Juno. But gods have their own laws. Why do I try to seek another measure for the rights of humans? Heaven's ways are different. I can expel this passion from my heart before I've taken that forbidden course. But if I lack such force, may I die first? And as they lay me dead upon the couch, and I lie there stretched out, may Caunus come to kiss my lips. But after all, not one, but two must will such things. What pleases me may be what he would deem depravity. And yet the sons of Aeolus were not ashamed to wed their sisters. Why do I bring this to mind? Why do I cite such things? Where am I veering now? Have done with these obscene, foul fires. Let me love my Caunus as a sister should. And yet, if he had chanced to be the first of us to feel this flame, I might have seconded his frenzy, and, if I would not have scorned his wanting me, should I now seek him out? And can I speak to him, confess in full? Urged on by love, indeed I can. Or if my shame won't let me speak, I still can write a secret letter, and the love I hide will be revealed to him. and she decides on this. Her mind had wavered, but she likes this plan. Now she lifts herself and leans on her left elbow as she says, "Oh, let him decide. Let me confess this insane love. Ah me, where am I bound? What flames erupt within my mind?" And she begins to write, composing words with care, though her hand shakes. Her right hand grips the iron stylus, while her left holds fast a slab of wax, as yet untouched, and she, unsure, begins. She writes, then cancels, traces letters, then repents, corrects, is discontent, and then content, picks up the tablets, lays them down, and when they are at rest, she picks them up again. She knows not what she wants. About to act, she cancels her resolve. Upon her face, audacity is plain, but mixed with shame. She has already written "sister" on the tablet, but decides to blot it out. She cleans the wax and then inscribes these words: "Here one who loves you wishes you good fortune. That fortune she will never gain unless you grant it to her. I am ashamed, yes, I am ashamed to tell my name. One thing I've wanted so, to plead my cause, but hide my name. I did not want to let you know that I am Byblis till I could be sure that what I want and hope for was secured. In truth, the signs of my heart's wound were clear. I was so pale, so drawn, so prone to tears. I sighed, but showed no cause, and often I embraced you, and my kisses were indeed, had you but noticed them, not sisterly. But I, despite a wound so harsh, so deep, for fiery frenzy burned within me, tried by every means, the gods will testify, so long against tremendous odds, I sought to flee in misery from Cupid's shafts. You'd not have thought a girl could bear that task, but now I'm overcome, I must confess. It is your help that, trembling, I must ask. You are the only one who can decide if I'm to be delivered or destroyed. It's you who now must choose. No enemy beseeches you, but one who, though already close linked to you, longs for still closer ties. Let those who are our elders seek and find what is permitted. Let them analyze the niceties of law, the wrongs, the rights. But we are young. It is audacity that's opportune in love. We've yet to learn what's licit. We think nothing is forbidden. We take as our examples the great gods. Our Father is not harsh. We are not blocked by scruples for our good name. Fear cannot curb us. In fact, what need we fear? We'll hide our meetings under the sweet names of sister and brother. I am fully free to meet alone with you, to speak in secret. We already kiss, embracing openly. What's missing still can easily be reached. Have mercy on the one who has confessed her love, who'd not have written this unless the ardor driving her had been relentless. Don't let them write upon my sepulchre that I have died because of you." Her tablets were full. She had no more on which to trace her futile message. Byblis had to run the last line she inscribed along the margin. At once she seals her sinful words. She takes her ring, which she can only wet with tears, her tongue is much too dry to moisten it, and presses it into the wax. Ashamed, she calls a servant. When he hesitates, she uses honeyed words to urge this task. "Oh, you who've been so faithful, take these tablets to my—" And here the girl paused long before she added, "brother." As she handed them to him, the tablets slipped, down to the ground they fell. That omen troubled her, and yet she sent them on. The servant left and, when he found a moment that was suitable, consigned to Caunus that confessional. Her brother is astonished, furious. He flings aside the tablets just half read, and even as he finds it hard to check his hands, he wants to beat the servant, says, "Be off before it is too late, foul pimp, you filthy go-between for lust and sin. For if your death would not mean my disgrace, your life would be the price I'd make you pay." The messenger runs off. He's terrified to tell his mistress of that fierce reply. And when you hear that Caunus has repulsed your love, pale Byblis, you are petrified. Your body is invaded by chill frost. But when her mind has been restored, the force of frenzy too returns. And though her voice finds speech is hard indeed, these are her words. "This is what I deserve. Why did I rush to bear my wound, my love? Why did I trust a letter sent in haste to bear what's best left in secret? There were better ways to test his bent with ambiguities and hints I could have spoken, to avoid the risk of his not seconding what I so wished. At first I should have kept my sails close reefed, to seen what the winds was like, to face the deep only when I was sure I had safe seas. But now I've spread my sails, and they are filled with winds I did not chart before I sailed. So I am wrecked upon the shoals. The surge has ruined me, and I can't change my course. But I, in truth, had been forewarned. That omen, was it not clear that I must not pursue my love when those wax tablets slipped and fell, as I was just about to send them off? Did that not mean my hopes had fallen too? I should have waited for a later day, or sacrificed my hopes, although delay is not denial, is the better way. The God himself had warned me, and the signs were clear. Had I not been out of my mind? In any case, I should not have relied on tablets to divulge my frenzy. I should have confessed it to him face to face. He would have seen my tears, my loving gaze. I could have told him more than I inscribed, have thrown my arms around his neck despite his protests. And if I was still denied, I could have seemed like one about to die, and sunk down to his feet, embracing them, and, stretching along the ground, have begged for life. I'd have used all these means. If taken singly, each might be useless, but they would succeed. If I employed them all together, he could not resist. And then again, perhaps, some fault lies with the servant I had sent. Oh, he must have made the wrong approach. The time he chose was, I am sure, inopportune. He did not wait until my brother's mind was free of other cares. That hurt my cause. For after all, my brother was not born of some fierce tigress. There is no hard flint, no rigid iron, and no adamant within his heart. Nor did a lioness give suck to Caunus. I can conquer him. I will not let him be. As long as I still have some breath of life, I'll try and try again. Although I know the best course was never to have begun. What I have done can't be annulled. And since I have begun, the next best choice is stay until I've won. And even if I should renounce my hopes, by now he can't forget how rash I was. And if I should desist, I would seem heedless, or, worse, insidious, as if I tried to tempt and trap him. In any case, I'd seem to him no more than one enslaved by lust, not one who has indeed obeyed this God who has deployed his tyrant force to subjugate and to inflame my heart. In sum, I cannot act as if I'd done no wrong. I wrote to him, I sought him out, and sought what's sinful. Even if I stop at this point, he can't think me innocent. The way is long, if I'd fulfill my hopes, but to sin more, there's little way to go. Such were her wavering words, unsure, disturbed, her mind is torn by doubts. While she repents of what she's done, she wants to try again. And now the helpless girl has lost all sense of measure, and she pleads again with Caunus, who rejects, until at last, relentlessly harassed, he flees his native land, and her foul pleas, and, in a foreign land, founds a new city. And now Meletus's daughter, in despair, loses her mind completely. Byblis tears her robes and bares her breasts and beats her arms in frenzy. Byblis openly declares her sacrilegious love. She raves, then, having lost all hope, the girl forsakes her country, leaves the home that earned her hate. She wants to track the fugitive. She takes the path her brother took when he escaped. And Bacchus, even as in Ismarus your devotees, excited by the thyrsus, each third year celebrate your bacchanal, so now, along broad fields near Bubassus, the matrons see the wailing Byblis rave delirious. The warlike Leleges, the Lycians, and the Cares see her frenzy. And she'd already left behind the Crocus, the Limere, and Xanthus' stream. She crossed the wooded ridge where fierce Chimera lived, that monster with a fire-breathing midriff, whose head and chest showed her as lioness, but bore a serpent's tail. Beyond those woods, you, Byblis, weary of your long pursuit of Caunus, fell. And there you lay, your hair streamed out along the hard ground, and your face was buried in the fallen leaves. Again the Lelegaean nymphs attempt so tenderly to lift her up. Again they try to teach her how to cure her love. They offer words of comfort, but she can't respond. She lies there. With her nails she grasps the green grass, and the meadow now is damp with Byblis' streaming tears. Upon this flow of tears, they say, the Naiads then bestowed this gift. It never dries. What greater gift could they have given Byblis? Just as pitch drips from a slashed pine bark, or as from rich, drenched earth, bitumen oozes sticky thick, or as, beneath the west wind's gentle breath, the waters winter froze now melt beneath the sun, just so is Byblis changed at once into the tears she shed. She has become a fountain that, within those valleys still, retains unto this day its mistress's name. Just at the foot of a dark ilex tree, the never-ending fount of Byblis streams. Word of this prodigy might well have stirred all Crete, its 100 towns, if Crete itself had not, so recently, produced its own great miracle, when Iphis changed her form. In Phaestus, close to Gnossus's royal city, there lived a man called Lycidas. Though the son of humble parents, Lycidas was free-born, and like his lineage, his property was modest. But he'd lived most honestly. He bore no stain, no blame, and when his wife was just about to have their child, he turned to her with these admonitory words: "There are two things for which I pray. The first, that you may suffer little in childbirth. The second, that your child may be a boy. Our means are meager. Girls require more. So if by chance, I pray that it not be so, you bear a female, I would have you know that, hateful as it is, and may the gods forgive me, I shall have her put to death. Such were his words. They both were bathed in tears, he who had ordered this, and she who must obey. Though Telethusa, his dear wife, entreated Lygdus not to set such limits upon the birth they both had longed for so, she prayed in vain. He would not change his course. And now the hour of birth drew close. Her womb was full, a burden she could hardly bear. And when at midnight she saw, or thought she saw, an image in her dreams, before her bed stood Isis and her train of deities. Upon her forehead she bore lunar horns, and round her head a yellow garland, stalks of wheat, that had been wrought in gleaming gold. And she had other signs of royalty. Beside her stood the barking god Anubis, sacred Bubastis, Apis in his cloak of many colors, and Osiris's son, who checks his voice and, with his finger on his lips, urges our silence. There were sistrums, and there at Isis's side Osiris, he who always is longed for, and the Egyptian snake swollen with his soporific venom. And Telethusa, who saw all of this, as if she were awake, heard Isis say, "O Telethusa, you who worship me so faithfully, can set aside despair. There is no need to heed your husband's order. And once Lucina has delivered you, don't hesitate to let your newborn live. I am the goddess who, when called upon for help and hope, bring comfort. I respond, no, I am not a thankless deity." Her counsel ended here. The goddess left. The Cretan woman rose up from her bed, rejoicing. Stretching out her blameless hands unto the stars, she prayed, a suppliant, that what she'd seen in dreams would be confirmed. Her labor pains grew more intense, and soon she'd given easy birth. A girl was born. Now, to deceive her husband, Telethusa gave orders to the nurse, for she alone knew of this guile, to feed the newborn child, and to tell everyone it was a son. And Lygdus thanked the gods, and to the child he gave the name of Lygdus's father, Iphis. And Telethusa was most pleased with this. It was a name that suited male or female, a neutral name whose use involved no tricks. No one unmasked the pious lie. She dressed her Iphis as a boy, and whether one assigned them to a daughter or a son, the features of the child were surely handsome. Some 13 years had come, 13 had gone. Now Iphis, O Iphis, now for you your father found a bride, the blonde Ianthe. There was none among the girls of Phaestus who had won more praise for the perfection of her form. Her father was a man of Crete, Telestes. Iphis and she were equal in their age, their beauty, and the two of them were trained by the same tutors. They had learned, together, the basic rudiments of arts and letters. In some, they had shared much. And so when love had struck their unsuspecting hearts, they both shared one same wound, but not with equal hopes. Ianthe waits impatiently to wed. She longs for what was promised and accepted. Her wedding one she takes to be a man, while Iphis is in love with one she knows is never to be hers. And just for this, the flame is still more fierce, and now she burns, a virgin for a virgin. It is hard to check her tears. "What end awaits me now?" she says. "I am possessed by love so strange that none has ever known its monstrous pangs. If heaven meant to spare me, then the gods should have done so, and if the gods' intent was to destroy me, then the means they chose could have been natural, a normal woe. Cows don't love cows, and mares do not love mares, but sheep desire rams, and does are drawn by stags. And birds, too, follow the same norm. Among the animals, no female wants a female. Oh, would I could annul myself! Yes, It is true that all monstrosities occur in Crete, and here Pasiphae has loved a bull, but even that is less insane than what I feel, for, after all, she was a female longing for a male, yet she was able to attain her goal. When she appeared in heifer's guise, then he, deceived, appeased her with adultery. But how can I be helped? For even if the world's most cunning minds were gathered here, if Daedalus himself flew back to Crete on waxen wings, what could he do? Nothing. No learned art can ever make of me a boy, and it cannot change you, Ianthe. Why then not summon all your metal, Iphis? Return to your own self, extinguish this flame that is hopeless, heedless, surely foolish. For you were born a girl, and now unless you would deceive yourself, acknowledge that, accept it, long for what is lawful, love, as should a woman love. What gives most life to love is hope. It's hope that lets love thrive, but it is hope of which you are deprived. No guardian keeps you from her loving touch, no jealous husband keeps a sleepless watch, and no harsh father, nor would she herself deny you what you seek, yet you cannot possess her. Though all things may favor you, though men and gods may help you in your pursuit, you can't be happy. Even now, there's no desire of mine that's been denied. The gods have been benevolent. They've given me as much as they could give, and what I want is what my father and Ianthe want, and what my future father-in-law wants. It's nature, with more power than all of these, that does not want it. My sole enemy is nature. Now the longed-for moment nears. My wedding day is close at hand. Ianthe will soon be mine, but won't belong to me. With all that water we shall thirst indeed. Why do you, Juno, guardian of brides, and you too, Hymen, come to grace these rites, at which there is no husband, just two brides? Her words were done. Meanwhile, the other virgin, whose passion matches Iphis's, prays, O Hymen, that you be quick to come. But Telethusa, who fears the very thing Ianthe seeks, delays the date. At times she feigns some illness, and often uses omens seen in dreams as an excuse, but no pretext is left, and now the wedding day is imminent. Indeed, it looms tomorrow. She removes the bands that circle her and Iphis's heads. With hair unbound, she holds the altar fast and pleads, O Isis, you who make your home in Meroto's fields and Paraetonium and Pharos and the Nile, whose waters flow to 7 mouths, I pray you, help us now, and heal the fear we feel. O goddess, I have seen you. Yes, I saw and recognized you and your regal signs, your mighty band of gods, the torches and the sistrum sounds, and I can still remember your commands. If my dear daughter is alive, if I have not been punished, we owe all of this to your advice, your gift. Take pity, Isis. We too indeed have need of you. Her words were followed by her tears. The goddess seemed to shake her altar, and Osiris had in fact done that. Her temple doors had trembled. One saw the glitter of her crescent horns. One heard the clash and clatter of her sistrums. Still not completely sure, yet glad to have such hopeful auguries, the mother left the temple. Iphis walked behind her, but her stride was longer than it was before, and her complexion darker. She was more robust, her features had grown sharper, and her hair was shorter, without ornaments. You are more vigorous than you had been, O Iphis, when you still were feminine, for you, who were a girl so recently, are now a boy. So bring your offerings unto the shrines, set fear aside. Rejoice! They bring their offerings, and then they add a votive tablet, one on which they had inscribed these words, These gifts, which Iphis pledged as girl, are paid by him as man. And when the first rays of the next day's sun again revealed the wide world, Venus, Juno, and Hymen assembled. Marriage flames were lit, and the boy Iphis made Ianthe his.